So how's everyone doing this afternoon? Everyone good? Y'all having a good time? All right, you'll have to mind my voice a little bit. I've got a little bit of a cough, so if you see me over here dying, I'm okay, I promise. Let's give a big round of applause to Adrian and all the guys that kind of put this together for us. Can we do that? Man, 2 years ago, we didn't have a B-Sides Knoxville. And now we've grown to, I think he said 150 people. Like, that's insane, guys. Knoxville's finally on the map. So it's great. So the name of this talk is Hack Yourself, Building a Pen Testing Lab for Fun and Profit. 7 years ago, Abraham Lincoln rode into battle on a bear with an assault rifle. And he said these words as he rode into battle. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. I don't know if any of that's true. Albert Einstein also had a great quote that's related to this talk. He said, any fool can know, the point is to understand. So keep those in the back of your mind as I go through this. So who's this guy standing in front of you? My name is David Boyd. I'm a security analyst for Contextual Security Solutions. I spent a few years in the Army, and then when I got out, I worked in every sector from retail IT, government, finance, media, energy sector. And then I got tired of sitting in hot, crowded cubicles, and I decided to do consulting. I'm a Christian, which I'm just a forgiven sinner. I am a new husband, a new father of that little 5-month-old right there. Rumor has it he's unleashed a new vulnerability out in the wild. It's called diaper shock, or maybe that's me. That's the shock I get from seeing his diapers. I'm also a geek and a huge gamer. As a matter of fact, I'll be putting together a D&D group after this, so if anybody's interested, come see me. So on the agenda today, we're going to talk about setting up a lab, the different pen testing distributions. We're going to talk about the various intentionally vulnerable virtual machines that are out there. I'm going to talk about, touch on a little bit of the recommended tools that I think anybody should just kind of install and kind of play with. If all goes well, I'm going to do a live demo for you guys of kind of what a lab would look like. And then I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant. And then we're going to go eat. Does that sound good? All right. So let's take a poll. Show of hands, who learns a little better by reading about something? Go ahead, raise them up. Okay, that's not what I thought. Who learns better by actually trying something hands-on? Okay, a little more there. So in our industry, in the security industry and in technology in general, reading is great. I mean, I've got a library full of books, and I highly suggest you do that. But there is just no better way to learn than by actually doing it. And the whole point of building a lab is to help teach yourself and to help improve your skills. So that's what I was talking about here. Why build a lab? Skill set improvement. If there's something you're a little weak on, build a lab, get strong in it, right? I'm not great at web app testing. I'm really not. So in my lab, when I get the time, I try to practice with Matilda and a couple other things. You got to try out something new. We get a little focused on, well, A, B, and C work, but you get into different customer environments and none of those things work, right? So it's easy for us to kind of get, that single focus. This gives you a chance to try out some new things, kind of break the barrier without breaking your customer's network. You get to brush up on some tactics, both old and new. I can't tell you how many old tricks still work, like Kane, back in '95. Kane still works. It's proof of concept for customers. If you've got, we love our customers and we try to take care of them. But if you've got a customer that's, a little bit picky and you find a vulnerability on their site or, within their network and they're like, man, I really don't want you to exploit that, you can go ahead and build it out in your lab, show a video, show a screenshot, do a WebEx, just kind of show them a good proof of concept. Hey, man, this is really something serious. You guys really need to look at that. And remember, scanners don't find everything. Beginning of your career, and I'm just as guilty of it too, it's easy to go on the automated scanners, look at your vulnerabilities, go from there, and that's great. We definitely need that. That's all part of it. But scanners don't find everything. Sometimes you got to be able to just kind of go in there and look at different things. And most of all, don't be a script kiddie. Right? All right, so who should build a lab? Pen testers, obviously. If you're a pen tester and you don't have a lab, you're failing yourself. Any kind of security personnel, red team and blue team, both. You can actually build a blue team lab with Snort and things like that. You can build a red team lab. You can have the two fight against each other. It's pretty cool. Any IT personnel, C-level execs, my high-level guys, go ahead and build a lab in your spare time. See what all that money that you're spending on your security team is going towards. Learn some of the tools that they're using. That way you're better equipped when you go and sit down and you talk to these guys and you say, hey, how are we looking? You better understand what they're actually talking about. And then anybody want to learn a new skill, like Mr. Deadpool here. So here's what you need to build a lab. A hallway full of servers and $500,000, right? No. Really and truly, you just need a laptop, okay? You can do it on a desktop. You can even find an old server somewhere. Craigslist got a bunch of them for like $100 if you wanted to, but really, my lab is right here on this laptop. You need a virtualization software of your choice. I'll go over those here in a second. You need a couple of vulnerable VMs to practice on, and then you get money flowing out of your laptop. It's great. So here's some of the virtualization software that's out there. You've got VM Player. It's free. It's easy to use. Me personally, that's what I prefer. I've had a little more success with it, a little more luck with it. There's also VirtualBox, which is equally as good. It's kind of based on what you want and what you want to do. There's also paid software. So unfortunately for Mac users, we have to pay for VMware Fusion. It gives you a 30-day free trial. It's $80 after that. And then for PC, there's VMware Workstation. Again, another 30-day free trial. It's $150 after that. The only difference between these and the free ones is snapshots. That's like the biggest difference. So if you're messing around and you've got all these machines running and you end up hosing one of your machines, you can go revert back to one of your snapshots, bring it back up, no problem, right? So let's go over some pen testing platforms here. We've got, Kali Linux. That's obviously the most popular one. Everyone knows that. Everyone uses it. That's the one I would suggest you use and work on. Pen 2, Backbox Linux. You've got Samurai WTF, that actually stands for Web Testing Framework. That's great for web app testing. Samurai STFU, which is utility hacking. And it's actually, there's no icon there because Justin Cyril will be unleashing a new version under a new name called the Control Things Platform. He'll be unleashing that at Black Hat this summer, so go out and check him out. And there's also Deft Linux. If forensics is your thing and you want to kind of practice with that, download that. Here's a list of some vulnerable VMs. You've got Metasploitable 2. That's great for Metasploit. That's great for web app testing. It's an intentionally vulnerable version of Ubuntu Linux that's designed for testing all kinds of security tools and common vulnerabilities. It's got remote logins, backdoors, vulnerable web services, default passwords. It's got all kinds of cool stuff, man. You've got, I put Windows XP on there and Windows Server. So XP is still out there. Okay, it's still out in the wild. There's still customers using it. It's still sitting on network sites. You're fooling yourself if you're thinking otherwise. I just saw one 2 weeks ago at a customer site. XP just sitting out there, man. I was like, golly. So still practice on it. Server you can download for free for 180 days. So build out a domain controller while you're doing this. Practice popping a domain controller. I said, look at the bottom of an old laptop. When you go to install XP, it asks for a key. So you got those old laptops still lying around. Flip those over. There's your key. Morning Catch is a good phishing. It's a good vulnerable phishing VM that's built out specifically to practice phishing against and on. OWASP and WebGoat, both for web applications. That's great for web app testing. And then vulnhub.com is a website that's got a whole bunch of vulnerable VMs kind of made by the community. And a couple good ones there were Chioptrix and PwnOS. With vulnhub.com, you got to kind of, use your discretion as you download the stuff. Make sure it's something that you can actually use and it's safe. Some of it's not supported, so it's kind of up to you. Here's some recommended tools I think you should play with. Nmap or Mascan, right? If you're great with Nmap, practice on Mascan. If you've never practiced on Mascan or you've never practiced on Nmap, go ahead and use that. Nessus, great vulnerability scanner. The Nessus Home is free for up to 20 IPs. So your lab's not going to get any bigger than that, I don't think. So that's great to practice, vulnerability scanning, kind of seeing things. Kane, again, that's an old tool. It still gets me credentials. It still works to this day. It still works on Windows 7. I haven't tried it on 8 or 10 yet. and it's great. I would definitely recommend you practice with that. Responder is also fantastic for grabbing hashes out in the wild. Fire up Responder, let it run for a while. You'd be surprised what you get. Once you get all those yummy hashes with Responder, you need to crack them with John or Hashcat. If you've never practiced with either one of those, highly suggest you do so. Hashcat is more geared towards GUI cracking, so using your graphics cards to try to crack the hashes. John is more CPU intensive. I've had more luck with John myself, but we're actually spinning up a Hashcat box, so we'll see how that works. Metasploit. Metasploit's free, Metasploit community. You should definitely use that. It's mostly for exploits, running exploits, which hopefully I'll show you here. Social Engineering Toolkit, GoFish, and SPF, which Adam, who just spoke, Adam Compton, is the creator of SPF there. Those are great phishing tools to use. Again, they're all free. So go ahead and reach out and grab those and practice with them. Discover Scripts is great for open source intelligence. And PowerShell Empire, if you're a little weak on PowerShell, go ahead and download PowerShell Empire and start kind of playing around with that. Any questions so far? All right, let's see if the live demo works here. Give me a second, let me set this up. So this is my lab here. Excuse me. Let me drink water here. Man. All right, so as a Mac user, I have VMware Fusion. So this is my lab right here. Welcome to Wayne Enterprises, right? I've got my Kali Linux machine, which is an attacker machine. I've got Metasploitable, an XP Service Pack 3 machine, Alfred's machine, another Windows 7 machine that's another attacker. So, remember I was talking about Kane. Kane doesn't work on Linux, it only works on Windows. So it's good to have kind of both. There's the domain controller, Windows Server 2012, and then the phishing server, Morning Catch. So let's see here. I didn't even start that. Let's try the first attack here. Let's do a... Y'all remember MSO 8067, right? Call it out here and you get a free thing. What was the biggest thing for it? Anybody? Remote access, remote code execution. There you go. All right. So we're going to go ahead and fire up our... Let's play pretend, right, that we're doing a pen test for Wayne Enterprises. We're going to go ahead and fire up our Kali Linux box here. Can you all hear me okay? Okay. Mic away from my mouth here. All right. Make that big. There you go. You can see it a little better? Okay. So, for the sake of time, I've gone ahead and made a host list. So, we're going to go ahead and move to our clients directory. And let's go ahead and just scan our host list, see what happens. -o -il hl.text. See what happens, see what pulls through here. Hopefully everything's open and live. I think it is. Yep, that's up. That's up. That's up, okay. All right, so it looks like it found. Well, said to freeze up on me here. Control, man, there we go. Okay, so it looks like it found a couple servers here, right? We've got, a whole bunch of open points on that one there, on that 128. That looks like a good target. We got some remote stuff there. We got FTP, SSH, Telnet. Man, that might be a good one. It looks like it's a Linux box. So, Nmap, it takes a pretty good guess. It does a pretty good job of telling you what OS is on there. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, we've got a Windows XP box out in the wild. Oh, man. I can't believe people still have those. Didn't they stop, supporting them like 100 years ago? Man. And it looks like it's XP2 or Service Pack 3, so that might be interesting. That might be a cool little target there. Windows 7 box, okay. And, oh, wow, an XP2 Professional? Man, I'm going to have to target that one. I'll bet you that one there's probably got some good stuff. So let's go ahead and open up MSF console. Metasploit here. Oh, I can make this go big for you. All right, there's a Metasploit console with a nice little moo cow there. All right, so like I said, Windows XP, great for MS-08067. So after you fired up Metasploit here, you'd go ahead and do a search for MS-08-067. It's going to go ahead and do a search. We should feel bad for the boiling water. It's going to be missed. Okay, now, so you do a search in Metasploit for any kind of module, and it'll pop back and tell you, okay, hey, we've got a list of modules here. This here is the most popular exploit that I know of. It's the easiest thing to exploit. It's the most popular one to know of. Everyone talked about it for years. It's still out there. So we're going to go ahead and say use, and then paste it. Use exploit Windows SMBM 067. All right. We're going to go ahead and set our host here. Well, let me back up. We're going to go ahead and show options, right? You want to do that for any Metasploit module that you open, right? So it's got, you got to set an R host, an R port, SMB pipe. So we're going to go ahead and set our R host to that lovely little XP box that we found out in the wild there. This one here. Hit paste. And then you just type in one simple little command here, exploit. And if all goes well, it didn't work. That's okay. Let's see here. I can fix that though. Give me 30 seconds here. Well, okay. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Just because it doesn't work one time doesn't mean it won't work again, right? There we go. So now we have a interpreter session, all right? So who knows what you can do with an interpreter session, right? That's basically complete access to the machine, no password required, right? So we go ahead to our handy dandy little notebook here full of notes. Let's see here. It's right here. Here it is. Okay. By the way, it's always good to take notes on pen tests. Make a methodology document full of commands. It's hard to keep up this stuff in your head. I'm not great at memory, so it's good to kind of have this stuff. So, back on here, we've got our interpreter command, full access to the machine. We're going to just dump all the hashes here, see what happens. Oops. So, there's all the hashes there on the local machine. Again, no password required, right? You can go ahead and run this through John. We've got Alfred, we've got Bruce Wayne. Man, what's he doing logging into Alfred's machine there? Jane Smith, a couple other people. Let's see here. We can do web. I believe it's web show. I'm terrible at commands. Yeah, webcam list. Cool thing I like to do for customers is webcam_list. That lists any video devices that they have on there. Then you can do webcam_snap. So if everyone will smile for the camera here. There you go. So that's always kind of cool to do for customers. That tends to kind of freak them out a little bit. So we've got all the hashes off the machine. We've got their webcam. Let's go ahead and get a shell. Now we have full access to the machine there. And from there, we can just do whatever we want, right? So let's say we want to go ahead and go a little bit further here. We see that Bruce Wayne logged into his machine. We've got his hash there. Let's go ahead and load that into John and see what we get. I'm not going to run John for time's sake. I'm going to go ahead and just say that we got his password, but you go ahead and copy that over. Open a new screen here. Paste it into John. Oh. Paste it into a document here and save it as a, whatever you want, hashes.txt or whatever. Hashes. And then you'd run John on the file there. And as soon as you get that, you'd have his password. So for time's sake, let's say we got his password. We're running John. Oh, man, we got his password. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Let's see. I wonder if he's got domain admin. Let me try this here. Let's see if he's got domain admin. He was logging into Alfred's machine. He's kind of a high-level guy. We did our passive reconnaissance of the company. We looked and saw the guys that worked there. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. So we'll load up another tool here called CrackMap. This thing is great, right? And looking back at our Nmap scans from before, we saw that one of the machines was named DC. And so I wonder if that's a domain controller, right? So let's go ahead and just run this with the captured Bruce Wayne password. We've got, well, let me make it big here, sorry. We've got our attack loaded up here. We've got CrackMap. That's the Python script. There's the domain controller that we're targeting. There's his username and there's his password. So let's run it and let's just see what happens. It didn't work. Well, it's probably because the domain controller's not turned on. Let's see. Again, all of this is for free, right? I've been able to do all of this for free. It's all on my own thing here. It's all on my own network. It's all self-contained. All right, so that's working now. So we're going to do --ntds, because we all love our ntds files, right? UAPI. And there is the entire domain's worth of password hashes right there on their domain controller, right? Yay! So yeah, I mean, this is all stuff you could practice, right? Just by building your lab from home, man. I mean, if stuff's not working, if you're on a customer site, you're just like, man, this is just killing me. I don't know what's going on. Try to see if you can recreate at least that section of it in your lab here, Let's see, I'm gonna try to do one more thing here. Another cool thing now, remember how I said you should definitely try out Kane, right? It's old, but it still works. Here's a cool thing you can do with it, right? Turn on your sniffer. See what you see. Right there. Right click. Resolve the host names. And it'll tell you sometimes, sysadmins aren't great about naming their systems. We can see right there, if you didn't already know, 101 is the domain controller, so that might be a target for later, right? Let me go ahead and cancel that. Come on. The other thing, too, about Kane, it's a little wonky, so sometimes it might crash on you. You just kind of got to go with it. Another cool thing, you kind of look at the network here. See if you can get some more information. You can see, oh, okay, that's a test lab domain. Let me see what they got on there. So you go ahead and look at all the computers on it. Kind of look at the quick list there. Look at the users. Oops. Oh, look at that. Got a back computer. Got an XP machine on there. Okay, cool. So it kind of gives you, enumerates some information for you. Kind of gives you some more information. There's other ways of doing it. This is just kind of a cool little graphical way to kind of look, see what you're looking at and any potential targets that you might want to look at. So it's an old tool. Still works great for me, man. With that, I think that's the end of my demo. So I'll go back to my slide deck now. And all that was to say that, and several bad puns later, you should build a lab, right? You can practice this stuff. In our industry, right? Like I said, reading is great. You got to read your books. In fact, I've got a reading list, a couple slides over. Blogs are great. You should go out and write them and read them. But the guy that all he does is read blogs or all he does is read books, isn't going to be able to figure out crack map, probably. I mean, maybe. He might be smarter than me. But he's not going to be able to figure out, hey, you know, if I dump the hashes off this computer, maybe I could try to use it and then escalate my privileges on this computer over here. You know, you can get some of that from books, but you can't get it as well as you could from reading, right? So let me tell you all a story. I am raspy as all get out. Good grief. Like I said, I've worked in every industry. And I've worked for private sector. I work for everything, man. And there has just been no better way for me to learn than by having a mentor, right? I was given a chance. I was a young guy. You know, I knew some things from reading some books, trying some things of my own or whatever. But I didn't really have a whole lot of experience. And so I had a guy come up. He gave me a chance. And then he turned me over to another guy who decided to mentor me. And it has been fantastic. I cannot tell you guys how much I've learned from having a mentor, right? If you have knowledge, if you're really, really great at something, say like web app testing is your thing, man, and you were just the bomb at it, don't keep that to yourself, man. Pass that along. Write up a blog. Do a video. You know, come do a talk. You know, teach people. Share your knowledge. If you're really weak at something, go out and learn about it. Build it out in the lab. Break it. Try it. Fail it. You know, you can't fail yourself. You know, this industry moves way too fast, man. And you are letting yourself down. You're letting your company down. You're letting your customers down, right? By not trying to learn, by not trying to improve. And you higher level guys, you experts, you are failing the people underneath you, you're failing your peers, and you're failing yourself if you're not mentoring, if you're not teaching, if you're not passing on that knowledge. All right? Back in the day, this movie here is what got me into this, right? I loved that movie. I thought, man, I wanted to be those guys, right? Somebody gave me a chance, and I got to be those guys. And I love it. It has been the most fun I've had doing any job I've ever had. It is fantastic. Pass on your knowledge. Take some time to learn. Take some time to teach some folks. So go and build a lab. Now, here's some books I'd recommend reading. These are all great. Love them all. I did put 3 Mitnick books on here, but that's all for social engineering. If you want to learn social engineering, go back in history, do your history, read your books. Black Hat Python's great if you need to learn some scripting. Metasploit was written by Dave Kennedy, so that's great. All these are good. The Hacker's Playbook, fantastic. I've used that probably the most on all my engagements. It's got a bunch of cool tools, bunch of cool scripts. Highly recommend picking that one up. So, any questions? No? None? Okay. Well, I'm David Boyd. There's my Twitter info, my email. Work for contextual security. And there's the dog tax. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.